In this video tutorial, I will show you how to knit a pair of those comfy leg warmers step by step. For this project, you need any decay weight yarn, either a set of flexible double-pointed needles, a set of double-pointed needles, or a circular needle if you prefer knitting with magic loop method. Knitting of the leg warmer starts in the middle or lower part of the footband. So to start knitting, we need to cast on stitches for both ends of footband at the same time. So we need to use some kind of provisional cast on, and for this we need two pairs of needles. One main needle which we're going to knit with, and one spare needle. It could be double pointed needle, short circular needle, because it's necessary to slip the second set of stitches to the cable. It will make our knitting easier, or maybe even short circular needle. This is needle from Adi Sock Trio, which comes in set of 3, and I found it easy to cast on with those needle as a spare needle and then slip stitches in the middle to the short cable, because it's pretty short needle and it doesn't prevent knitting. So I'm going to use decay weight yarn, and I will start to cast on my stitches into 2 needles at the same time. So what I need to place my main needle facing me, then I'm placing my spare needle after the main one, and I'm going to start cast on stitches first with my main needle. So the shorter end of yarn facing me, I fold yarn in double, and now I'm placing my main needle into the loop of yarn formed between my index finger and my thumb. Then I move my needles towards me and rub the spare needle with the working yarn. Then I'm making a loop onto my main needle and to the main spare needle. I need to cast on 8 stitches on each needle, finishing with the cast on stitch on my spare needle. So here I've got 8 stitches on each needle. Now I'm going to fix my yarn ends with my index finger, turn my knitting so the spare needle facing me, move it so all stitches are on my cable of spare needle. Now I'm moving the working yarn over my index finger on my left needle, and now I'm going to knit my first row, and I need to knit 2 stitches and purl 4 stitches. Purl 4 stitches and knit the last 2. You will need to knit the last stitch through the back loop because it's twisted on our left needle. So at this point I tighten the yarn a little bit so my stitches are neat and even. Turn for the wrong side row and continue in pattern or purl 2 stitches. After purl stitches, again I'm going to tighten my working yarn a little bit to make sure my edge stitches are not loose, and purl to end of row. On my knitting for row number 3, and again I need to knit 2 stitches. Tighten my yarn a little bit and purl to last 2 stitches and knit 2 stitches. Next row is purl row, wrong side row, where we purl all stitches. Now you need continue to repeat those 2 rows up to the very first increase. So after you completed your number of rows for your footband for your size, you need to start doing increases after 2 first knit stitches in the beginning of row and before last 2 stitches at the end of row. So for this you need to knit first 2 stitches and then add or increase 1 purl stitch. So you need to pick up the strand of yarn between last worked stitch and next stitch on your left needle. You can either pick it up with right needle or with a left needle. Place it to the left needle and purl the stitch. Purl up to last 2 stitches and repeat increase. In next row you need purl your all stitches the same way. Work the next right side row as we did it with previous rows. Knit 2 stitches, purl up to last 2 stitches and knit 2 stitches, complete another wrong side row, and now we need to repeat increasing the same way. And then complete another wrong side row. Now in the next row we need to start working our cable chart. For this we will need a cable needle. So now I need to knit 2 stitches, purl 2 stitches, and now I need to work 4 stitch cable, and I'm crossing stitches to the right. So I'm just slipping 2 next stitches to my cable needle and keep them in back. I knit next 2 stitches and then knit 2 stitches from the cable needle and work in pattern to end of row. Knit another wrong side row, and in next row and from this row onwards I need to do my increases in every right side row, and also I need to continue working in cable chart. So now I need to cross 3 stitches, 2 knit stitches and 1 purl stitch, and I'm going to do this without cable needle. So I slip 3 stitches to my right needle, approach my first stitch from the back, slip off all stitches of my right needle, pick up my 2 knit stitches to my right needle and place them to the left needle and knit them, purl 1 stitch, and now I'm going to cross 3 stitches to the left. So I'm going to slip my 2 knit stitches of my left needle using my right needle, then I slip my next stitch to my right needle, catch my 2 slipped stitches and move all 3 stitches to the left needle. And now I'm going to purl my next stitch and knit 2 stitches, purl 1 stitch and increase 1 purl stitch, knit last 2 stitches, and then I'm going to purl my next row. So next right side row I'm going to continue in pattern, adding or increasing stitch in the beginning and at the end of row, and crossing my stitches for the cable. So now you need to continue in cable chart up to the specified row, depending on your size. There are 3 different sizes in the pattern, 3 different charts. So you need to follow chart for your size and follow the instruction for the quantity of rows. So after you complete this part of your leg warmer up to the specified row, it will be somewhere or on top of this heart, of this cable heart. You need to put those stitches on hold and turn your knitting so the lower part and your other open stitches are facing you. Take new skein of yarn. By the way, you can slip those stitches to the spare short cable needle or maybe on stitch holder, so it will be easier to knit. Then you need to take another skein of yarn, needle, and continue knitting your footband in other direction, following the same chart. So I'm going to knit 2 stitches. Again, this is row 1 of your cable chart, and purl up to next or last 2 stitches and knit the last 2 stitches. So then turn your knitting and continue in pattern. Continue knitting and pattern and make sure that your edge stitches are not too loose. Continue to control your knitting tension. By the way, you can place a stitch marker to mark the position where you started knitting in another direction, so it's easier to count your rows, or you can consider your yarn ends as a marking thread and count your rows from those yarn ends. While working on this section of your footband, you can double check and make sure that you've got desired length of your footband. You can fold it in half, try it on your feet and check if you are happy with this length, or you need to knit a few extra rows here. So at this point, before you start increases for side shaping, you can adjust the length of this part. So So after you completed one side of footband up to the specified row, you need to cut the yarn, leaving about 10-20 centimeters for weaving in yarns later. And then you need to complete the same row for your second part up to last 2 stitches. So next step, you need to fold your knitting piece in half with wrong side facing inside. Move the beginning of row on your first part, the part which was first knitted, to the begin of your needle. Then place 2 knitting needles together with the current working part facing yourself or at front of your second part. Then you need to work first stitch on your front needle with the first stitch on your back needle together as purl to together. So for this you can slip the first stitch from the back needle to your front needle, to your front left needle, and purl those 2 stitches together. Now you need to place end of round marker, and next you need to knit 2 stitches together, one from the front needle and next one from the second needle. So I'm moving my first stitch from the back needle to the front needle and knit those 2 stitches together. Next step, I need to knit up to the last 2 stitches on my second or back needle. On my sample, I'm showing the smallest size because this size has a bit more trickier rows when we are joining parts together. As you can see, I still need to cross cables a few times for this size. So I'm knitting up to last 2 stitches on my second needle. Now this looks like my first needle because I'm going to place it at front of my knitting. As you can see, I'm trying to knit my leg warmer using magic loop method. So now I need to knit 2 stitches together again, the first stitch on my main needle and the first stitch on my spare or my back needle. And I repeat this step one more time. And now I need to continue knitting my stitches to the end of row. I'm knitting up to the end of round marker. So I knitted this row for end of round marker, and now for the smallest size I need to work another round where I need to cross those stitches. You need to skip this step for all other sizes. So I'm purling up to my cable chart crossing my stitches for cable. And now I need to purl up to next cable. So now I'm crossing stitches for my second cable. And then I purl to the end of round. So now I need to knit one round for smallest size again. If you are working on a bigger size, just skip this step. So I completed my knit round, and in next round I need to purl all stitches, and at the same time I need to decrease 4 stitches by purling 2 stitches together every time. Why we need to decrease stitches? As you know, the gauge for cables and for garter stitch is different, and after we stop knitting cables and start knitting our leg warmers in garter stitch, they become quite wider. So I'm going to decrease 4 stitches to compensate the gauge. So I'm purling 10 stitches for the smallest size. And purl next 2 stitches together, and I repeat 3 times more up to the end of round for the smallest size. From the next round, you need to start knitting your leg warmer in garter stitch by working one round as knit round and the following round as purl round. and you need to continue in garter stitch up to the specified length. At the same time, you need to place another 3 stitch markers to identify the position of our future increases, which we are going to do for shaping of our leg warmer. Here I completed a few rounds in garter stitch, and now I need to continue knitting straight up to the specified length. In the pattern we start doing increases for leg warmer shaping after we reach the height or length of standard socks. And here you can see I've got another sample, and here I marked the rounds where I've done my increases. So this length, this is length of standard socks. This is like length of the cuff of socks. So I recommend to start the increasing for the leg warmer shaping approximately at the length of a sock cuff. However, if your leg is a bit different from the standard, you can customize this section and start doing increases a bit earlier. Also, as you can see on my sample, I marked my increasing rounds with the markers, and the distances between them is the same, and it's specified in the pattern. If you need, you can decrease those distances and make your increases more often. There are 4 increases in every increasing round. You can do more increases in the round instead of reducing the distance between increasing rounds. For example, you can do 5 or 6 increases in one increasing round. In this case, you need to divide your round to 5 or 6 parts instead of 4 and do increase after every marker. All increases should be done in neat rounds, so they will be absolutely invisible. So it is another way to customize your leg warmers. Next, I will show you how I do my increases. So to make your increase, you need to work up to your marker, slip marker, then you need to lift the strand between last worked stitch and next stitch on your needle. Place the strand onto your left needle and knit into front of this stitch. So here one knit stitch is added. In the next round you need to purl this stitch. Then you need to knit up to next marker. I don't have my second marker because this loop of my cable needle is where I should have the second marker. So I knit it up to the position of my second marker, and then I need to lift the strand between 2 stitches, place it onto my left needle and knit it. Then I need to knit up to my third marker. Again, I slip my marker, lift the strand between last worked stitch and next stitch on my left needle and knit into front of the stitch. And the last increase I need to work at the end of my round. So you can see Then I need to purl the next row. For the H-band, I offer two options, and both options are written in the pattern. Option 1 is a simple one. For this one, you need to knit a few rounds in ribbon. The quantity of stitches for the body of legwarmer is even, so you can simply switch to the 1x1 ribbon and knit a few rounds. I offer to knit 8 rounds in ribbon and then knit 4 rounds in stocking stitch. Stocking stitch would create this rolled edge, which looks very similar to the gazi stitch, and I think it's quite interesting option for this legwarmer. So again, for this option, you need to knit 8 rounds in 1x1 ribbon, then continue for 4 rounds in stocking stitch, and then loosely bind off all stitches. For second option, for double layered H-band, you need to knit 8 rounds in stocking stitch, and there are two options for the finishing. For the first bind off method, you need to pick up stitches 10 rows below from the wrong side. This row is quite easy to identify. This row is separated from the body of legwarmer with knit row. This is the first wrong side row of our H-band. You can see this is body stitches and this is our H-band, and this is the first row. So you need to find the first stitch 10 rows below, pick it up with your right needle and place it to your left needle. And next step, you need to knit this new stitch with the first stitch of your H-band, and this stitch is now placing as a second stitch on your left needle, and you are knitting those two stitches together. Next, you need to pick up the second stitch. The same way, you are picking up the second stitch. I think it's easier to do this when my working yarn is from the wrong side, from the right needle. So I'm picking up my second stitch and knit those two stitches together again. Now I need to slip the first stitch on my right needle over the second one. Next step, I need to find my third stitch, pick it up with my right needle and place it on my left needle. And now I need to knit 2 stitches again. Slip the first stitch on my right needle over the second one. Again, I'm looking for my next stitch, pick it up with my right needle, place it on my left needle and knit 2 stitches together. to continue to the end of round until you close all your stitches. You need to make sure that you are not overstretching those bind off stitches. You can see this method creates beautiful result from both sides, from right side and from wrong side. Now I will show you the second method. Although the second method involves some seaming, because as a last step you would need to fold your edge band in half and tuck it from the wrong side. I like it more because I feel it helps me to control my tension a bit better while I'm closing the stitches and when I seam in the edge. Also, I think it creates more flexible edge band. So for this method, you need simply to bind off all your stitches knitwise as a first step. So I close in my stitches, making sure I'm not over tighten them. At this step, I can control my tension and make sure that my stitches are not too tight. So here I'm finishing closing or binding off my stitches. I'm going to join my bind off round by picking up yarn under the first bind off stitch. So and I'm joining my beginning and end of bind off round, and now I need to tighten. Now I need to tighten my stitches off. Actually, I'm going to cut quite a long yarn end because I need to use it to tuck my edge to the wrong side of my legwarmer. So I'm closing my last stitch. Actually, now I'm going to cut off my mohair yarn. It will make my life easier when I'm going to finish my edge. So now I need my needle, my tapestry needle, and I'm going to tuck my edge of my edge band to the wrong side of my legwarmer. So what I'm going to do, I'm folding my edge band in half, and here my lower edge of edge band 10 rounds below. So I'm pick up my first stitch, pass my needle through the first stitch below and through the first stitch of the edge, and make a seam, make a stitch. So now I'm looking for my second stitch and my second stitch of edge band. So I'm simply stitching two edges of my edge band. At this point, I control my tension and making sure that I'm not making very tight stitches, not over tighten this round. You can see this second method involves 2 steps. First step, you need to bind off stitches, and second, you need to tack the edge to your wrong side using a needle. It's still quite fast and it's still quite easy. And it creates the same result. And pretty fabric from both sides, from right side and from the wrong side. So actually now you need to continue to the end of round, tacking your edge to the wrong side.